Well, it's been 4 months since I last made a video, and out of this collection of just under 100 games, I can't find one to review! Well, it's high time I decided, so let's go! Toy Story? Yeah, I remember this. This was a pretty good game. In fact, I was hoping to save it for a Disney marathon, but you know me, it'll be delayed for a millennia or two. I don't think Toy Story needs much in the way of an introduction, as it was one of the most memorable films by Disney Pixar, plus it starred Tom Hanks as the voice of Woody, so it has to be good, right? Now, there is this golden rule about movie licensed games sucking, but that's not the case for Disney. These are just a handful of existing ones, and there are far better ones out there. Disney Interactive have made some great games, not just for the PlayStation, but for the PC and Nintendo 64 too. Plus, this one's developed by Traveller's Tales, so it's gotta be good. These are the guys who made Sonic 3D on PC, Sonic R, a shit ton of LEGO games, and Crash Bandicoot the Wrath of Cortex. How I hate that game, but still we're talking about Toy Story. Let's get one thing straight about this game. You're not going to be playing as anyone else but Buzz Lightyear. You see, Woody has been kidnapped by Al, the antagonist of the second Toy Story movie, and it's up to Buzz to rescue him as well as stop Emperor Zurg. No, not that kind of Zurg! Anyway, to progress through the game, you have to do several objectives in order to collect Pizza Planet tokens. You need to collect these in order to get through the game and unlock new levels. Let's first look at Buzz. During the first film, I really didn't like him, but he's quite a good character to play as in this game. For one thing, the control is so amazing. It feels so fluent and responsive, and the attacks, my goodness, they are so satisfactory. You have two means of attack, the first being a spin attack for melee encounters. If you hold down the spin button, you can charge it up and wind around for quite some time. This then makes you impervious to all forms of damage, however it does come with a stun. The other, and my favourite, is the laser, which is a projectile based weapon that blasts foes from afar. Buzz can upgrade his weapons, though very early on he's limited to what he can do. It doesn't help either when the good upgrades like the rapid fire laser ammo runs down fairly quickly, but thankfully it doesn't expire as time goes by. The spin attack also sees very little love throughout the game too, as the laser renders it completely obsolete. If I have a single complaint about the laser, it's the hit detection. When you use the laser beam, the game feels like a twin stick shooter, and the only way to get a certain hit is to charge it up and then release. I want to return your attention now to the platforming aspect of the game, and let me say there are no words that can describe how impressed I am. The level design is frigging awesome, allowing you to see the game from a toy's point of view, using everyday objects to navigate the areas you're going through. Traveller's Tales really want you to think about what you're doing, providing means of climbing, jumping, swimming and sprinting. It takes me around 20 minutes to cover an entire map because of how extensive the level design is and how awesome it is to look at. However, the level objectives aren't all that inspired. As I said before, you need to do these to get the Pizza Planet tokens, which grant you new levels. Things like collecting coins for Ham the Piggy Bank, getting Bo Peep Sheep, racing with RC Tycho, and finding Mr. Potato Head's features are tolerable at first, but slowly get more tedious. Ham's coins are fairly easy to find, as they'll be dotted around the map, as well as a good method of leading the way around the place. Also, there's always more than Ham's requirement, so you won't have the problem of looking around for a single coin. Not only that, but enemies also drop a single coin, however this happens just the one time. This, however, is completely different to finding Bo Peep sheep, who hide in the most obscure places. Sometimes it's easy to find them but hard to reach, and sometimes it's the other way around. Plus, you need to get all of the sheep for the token, not just a few. If there's one thing I do find entertaining, it's the races with RC. While the game is evidently not made for on-foot racing, the control is pretty fluent and allows you to move with ease, but my biggest complaint has to be that you don't move very fast, nor does RC, making the race seem pretty boring at times. Each level contains a boss of sorts, mostly something that only a toy would fear. Things like robots, airplanes, and even a kite at one point will threaten your existence and attempt to hinder your progress. Good use of your first-person camera will be required to take down some of these foes to hit their weak points. Speaking of enemies, there's not a great variety either. For the most part, you'll be fighting against minions of Zerg who might jump into you or shoot you with their own lasers, but other than that, it's not much to be impressed by. These enemies don't hit very hard either, so there's very few reasons to worry about health. In the unlikely event that your health is in critical condition, you'll have to find batteries dotted around the level, but do note that they are scarce. Now just keep this up for another 20 levels and it's over! Yes, believe it or not, I've covered the gameplay aspect of Toy Story 2. For the entire duration of the game, you race, you collect coins, you find sheep, green army men or little tykes, and then you go to the next level to do it again. Oh, but there's more. There are several things in this game that make my piss boil. My biggest peeve has to be on the construction yard level, where you're climbing up the scaffolding. If you get hit just once, if you make one mistake, it's down, down, down you go to the 9th circle of hell. So as well as monotonous gameplay, you've also got tough as balls platforming parts too. Actually, that's a good thing. But alright, if you're a kid in the 90s, I'm going to be bringing this review to a close very soon, but before we do, I'd like to talk about the graphics and soundtrack. I think you already know my views on the graphics, and if you haven't twigged it yet, then I have to say they're awesome. While they're not fantastic now, for their age, they're pretty good, especially for a low-budget title. Not to mention, the environments are designed very well, and I would even go as far to say as them being realistic to some extent. The character models could do with some improvements here and there, but they're not terrible. As for the cutscenes, they're good quality for the PS1. The soundtrack's not my favourite, particularly when the game boots up to Randy Newman each time you play. Don't get me wrong, it's a great song, but hearing it over and over and over, yeah, it gets tiresome. Plus, a lot of the original voice actors return to play their characters. Around 3 or 4 are different, but you really wouldn't know the difference. I have to say, once again, I'm impressed with the audio quality and the loyalty to the original film. You thought it was over, huh? Well, admittedly there's some more. You see, I'm trying to get back into reviewing, but I'm finding it very hard to talk about stuff in this game. So, I've decided to review this on the Game Boy Color too! As you can clearly tell, the game is just a side-scroller as opposed to the more open PS1 and N64 version. Not too much special, just running around and... what? Hitting one of the main characters, Rex, hurts you? Well, anyway, that's only the icing of the fucking cake, because the control is where it's really at. Movement is such a chore as you have to rock the pad in both directions, and instinct will only make you press harder to make Buzz move faster. Not very fun at all, and causes my thumbs to blister. Thankfully, it's one of those games where you just have to reach the end of the stage, so repetitive and meaningless objectives are now gone. But this first level is so friggin' hard to master. I mean, I've got to save Woody by getting out of the window, but it's such a pain in the arse. While I am raging, I didn't really expect much. I mean, by the power of Grayskull, it's a Game Boy Color game, so it's not like you're gonna have too many features. And I have to say that there's not really much room for things like double jumping, charging up attacks, spin attacking and all that. There's only 4 buttons and a D-pad. The visuals aren't too bad, as many developers never took advantage of the Game Boy Color's, well, colour. They were often bland and tried to make more use of textures than filling in the blanks, but in this game, it's nice and bright and it's actually calmed me down a bit. The sound is shocking, though once again I didn't expect much from a handheld console this old. Only until the GBA did I really appreciate soundtracks on handhelds, but even then, it can sometimes be a butchered tub of fuck. So we've played... what the hell am I doing here? How did I get this new shirt on? Well, anyway, we've played a good game and we've played a bad game, and I think I've learned something very important in this review. That Even though something's a classic, it's not always going to be perfect. So until the next time, I'm the Greasy Game, your #1 source for #2 games. Now, excuse me, I think I need to make myself at home. Ta-ta for now.